Hi, everyone, and welcome to another update on the Team-Based Learning Collaborative Annual Conference. My name is Lauren Vicker, and our guest today is Dr. Michael Nelson, one of the plenary speakers for this year's annual conference. Dr. Nelson is the Assistant Dean for Student Affairs at Drake University College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences in Des Moines, Iowa, where he previously worked in enrollment management. And prior to that, he was chair of pharmaceutical sciences at Regis University in Denver. He is also a team-based learning consultant. So thank you so much for joining us today, Michael.
Yeah, thanks for interviewing me. I appreciate the chance.
Well, before we discuss what led to you being invited to speak at the conference, can you tell us a little bit more about your background and how it led to where your career is headed right now?
Sure. Yeah, well, going way back, I was born and raised out in the northwest part of our country in the Seattle area, and I completed my pharmacy degree at the University of Washington and then a doctoral PhD degree at University of Minnesota, and moved into a teaching-focused career instead of heavy research. So I focused mostly on teaching in the health professions, primarily pharmacy education, but also some of the other allied health professions. And when I was serving as department chair at Regis University for their new School of Pharmacy, I was part of a team of faculty that decided we would design the new curriculum in an integrated manner and deliver it with team-based learning. And so that was really my first exposure to team-based learning. And so I was part of a small team of faculty that led the implementation of program-wide team-based learning in a new school of pharmacy. Along the way, I got connected with the TBLC, and that was very helpful for bringing back to the college things we needed to do in terms of building TBL into our curriculum. And got connected with some of the leaders in the TBLC and expressed interest in serving at some point. And an opportunity came up to serve as a member at large in health sciences, and I did that for about a year. And then an opportunity came up to run for the presidential cycle, and so I did. And so then I served 6 years, 2 years as president-elect, 2 years as president, and then 2 years as immediate past president. So then I moved into more of an administrative role here at Drake University, where I'm particularly involved in student affairs. I still do some teaching, but not nearly as much as I used to. And the TBLC reached out to me and thought that combining my past team-based learning experience and leadership experience in TBLC, plus my role now in student affairs, working with sense of belonging, inclusivity, those kind of issues. They thought that matched the theme of the conference well, and asked me if I would consider being a plenary speaker, and I was delighted to accept that offer.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a really good fit for you to come in, and especially because you're so familiar with TBL and using team-based learning. Is everyone using TBL at Drake?
No, not everyone. Our basically about one half of our pharmacy program. So we have a pharmacy practice department and a pharmaceutical and administrative sciences department. The pharmacy practice department for all of our therapeutics course series and some of our other courses as well, they use team-based learning throughout. And in fact, when we were building TBL into Regis, I found a couple of their articles that they had published. So Drake had actually gotten into TBL a little bit before I had. So it's been kind of interesting now to come to this program and meet some of the folks that I'd actually used their literature back in the day to help inform our TBL implementation.
Oh, that's really true. But it must have been a bit of a challenge at Regis to get everyone on board with TBL, especially people who'd been used to teaching using other formats.
Yes, it can be. Now, we were fortunate. It was a brand new program. So the founders, the founding faculty were essentially in agreement that we would move forward with TBL program wide, with a few exceptions. Our lab classes, we didn't use TBL. And if we had to have a class taught externally, like one of our law classes, we sort of let that external faculty member teach it however they wanted to. But yeah, in general, we had all of our didactic classes, and then we just recruited for faculty that wanted to join a program. that use TBL. So we sort of self-selected faculty that were really interested in that. So in fairness to those that are wanting to switch an entire program to TBL, we had it a little bit easier in terms of building the program up that way. So you're correct that I've heard of that challenge from many people that have tried to do program-wide TBL. We were fortunate, but there were still some hiccups along the way. And I think, in general, myself and the other department chair, we just took the role of trying to be coaches and keep people aligned with the overall vision of why we were doing TBL relative to the outcomes that we were trying to get from our PharmD program. And usually with those kind of pep talks, we could restore any sort of declining enthusiasm in TBL.
So is that what led you to become a TBL consultant?
It is, yeah, that whole process of offering for our new faculty coming in, we developed workshop programming for them and got to the point where several of us thought, well, we could give these workshops externally too. And then I learned about the TBLC certification program and decided, well, this seems like a good fit. So went ahead and did that work. Arguably, it was a little bit less work back in the day, but I think that program's really grown now to where it's a really solid certification program.
That is great. That is wonderful to hear. So it's a little unfair for me to be interviewing you in early December when the conference isn't until the end of March. And I know it's way too early for you to talk about your discussion and what's going to happen in the plenary in any kind of detail, but we know the conference theme is active, inclusive teaching and learning, igniting curiosity and belonging, quite a mouthful. Um, how does that theme align with some of your thoughts at this point?
So where I'm going, the direction for my plenary is I am interested in exploring the sense of belonging that I would hypothesize that TBL brings to students. And there's some literature that supports that. So I will want to present some of that literature in the plenary, but most of the plenary, it's not going to be a plenary talk per se, but it will be a plenary session where we work through, I believe, a couple, probably two, 4S style TBL application activities. Um, and we will sort of wrestle with what is it in TBL that is likely to create a sense of belonging with students. If there is anything in TBL, what is it that would lend itself well? Is it the 4S design of applications? Is it the readiness assurance process? So I think I plan to design some applications to generate healthy discussion around people's experience around TBL. And then the next uh, potential part of the plenary would be looking at what could we do to improve how we're delivering TBL, staying within the framework of TBL, but what can we maybe do a little bit different with these different steps of TBL to further create a sense of belonging? So in general, that's kind of what I'm looking at. To your point, who knows exactly where it'll end up at, but I'm anticipating an active session where we work through several um, application activities around a sense of belonging in TBL. And then I will sort of bookend that with some presentation of here's what the literature says, and here's what I've been able to learn about evidence supporting team-based learning, creating a sense of belonging or fostering a sense of belonging in students.
That really sounds great, and you can see where your work in student affairs is really going to end, or is really going to add a lot of credibility to what you're trying to talk about.
Yeah, thanks. I certainly hope to come across credible. Yeah, that's
I didn't mean it that
no,
way.
no, no, yeah. Uh, yeah, it should help. It definitely
Yeah.
gives me much more what's the word? Kind of a foundation to pull from of experience. I guess it's yeah, it's
Mhm.
experience to pull from because I've I have seen a number of things now where we've tried to foster inclusivity and a sense of belonging, and some things work, some things don't. So, yeah,
Mhm.
I'm hopeful that the marriage of my TBL experience and student affairs experience will lend itself well for this plenary. But I'm going to be leaning on attendees, especially the experienced ones, to be contributing a lot as well, because I am by no means an expert in this area.
Well, we are not a shy bunch, so I think you're going to be okay in that regard. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Well, if there's anyone watching this that's sort of on the fence of going to TBLC or not, I have loved my experience at every TPLC meeting for two primary reasons. One is the content. Um, all or nearly all the sessions that you would otherwise anticipate a kind of more boring sit back for an hour or so workshop, listen to someone talk. They're very active instead. They're delivered with team based learning. So I love that aspect of it. And then the other aspect is the networking. TBL is a small world, and where else can you go where you can actually often meet, either the founder of team based learning, often Larry Michelson's there, or some of the folks where you've just seen their names in literature and they almost seem like out of touch, but they're right there in person, and you can talk to them and meet with them. I have loved that experience at TPLC. So, anybody out there trying to decide, that's two big reasons why I would suggest you consider going.
Those are really good reasons for people to attend. So thank you so much, Michael Nelson, for joining us today and giving us a little bit of an overview of what you're going to be discussing.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for the chance to share a few thoughts in advance of the TBLC meeting.
Okay, and a reminder for everyone, the annual conference will be taking place March 22nd to 25th at Chapman University in Orange, California, right outside Los Angeles. And the early bird registration deadline is January 15th. So we hope to see you there. Thanks so much.